So the big question is this: how are real estate investors who don't have a ton of free time, don't have access to off-market deals, and didn't start life on third base, how do we grow a real estate business conservatively to support our families, finally leave the corporate rat race, and build a legacy? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. I'm Ed Matthews, and this is Real Estate Underground. This is the Real Estate Underground podcast show, number 74. Greetings and salutations, Real Estate Undergrounders. It's Ed Matthews with the Real Estate Underground podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today is actually selfishly a really cool episode because we're meeting with Pete Reese of Reelvest Properties. And Pete, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for your time today.
Well, thanks for having me, Ed. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. So the reason I'm selfish about this is that we have two sizable plots of land under contract right now. And one we know what we're going to do with. The other one we're kind of thinking about. So can't wait to have this conversation. So thanks again for your time. Yep. So for the folks out there I've been stalking you for a better part of 6 months now. And finally got you, and I mentioned you offline, having a podcast is one of the cool ways to get people to return your phone calls, right? So, as far as the your business and the community you're building with your wife, Heather, can you tell everybody about your business operation and who you are and how you got here?
Sure. Well, what I do basically is land flipping. And before I got into all this, I really had no clue what that even comprised of. I thought buying and selling land was kind of one of those longer term things where you'd see these big pieces of land on the highway to the middle of nowhere somewhere or on their way to somewhere else. And you'd see the same pieces of land for sale year after year. And maybe someday those pieces of land got a lot more valuable. But that's what I thought land investing was. But land flipping, which I do, is completely different. It's actually a short-term hold business model. And basically what we're doing is we're buying parcels of land off market. We use direct mail to generate all of our leads and all of our deals. And then we take those properties. We may do some minor value add stuff to them, but generally we're putting them on the market right away. And our average hold time has been about 60 to 75 days.
Really?
Historically. Yeah.
Wow.
So these are quick flip situations. So we're buying them very cheap. It's raw land and unused raw land. So we're able to get a good acquisition price on these properties that we buy, which allows us to price them aggressively on the resale side, putting them on the market, working with a great local land broker. So then, it's basically the best price thing in the market. So it'll sell fast. So that's right. In a nutshell, that's kind of how it works.
So, the axiom, buy it, you make your profit on when you buy it is very true with land as well.
So true. True. Yeah. You make your money then.
Excellent. And so, I'm curious because, I live here in the Northeast in Connecticut. And, when we put land on the market, it can sit for, 3, 6, 12 months. So how are you moving property in 60 to 75 days? Like what's your secret?
Well, that's because that land is priced too high. Okay. The land that is priced, if it's a good property and it's priced aggressively, like under market value, it'll sell right away. At least in most areas where there's actually action, there's actually activity going on. It's all about the price.
Yeah. All right. So that's interesting. So when you look at a property and you're identifying the market price, like what's your strategy in terms of, is there a specific percentage of market that you're looking to deliver, the listing, or is there some sort of formula you use to figure that out?
There's no hard set formula. It really depends on the area, depends on the kind of activity, how much inventory is out there
right
in the market. But if it's an active market, then, we're probably pricing it at maybe, if it's an active market where buyers are actively looking, things are happening, we're probably 90% of market value. That's maybe 80%.
Wow, that's so amazing.
So
I'll take 90% all day.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing. It's about moving the money fast. And if we're able to, on average, resell these properties in 60 to 75 days, and then you're making Our goal is always to double our money on these things. Sometimes it doesn't quite work out, but
Yeah.
on average, our average deal, we're probably profiting about 23,000 per deal.
Yep.
And yeah, so it keeps the money moving quickly, and the returns become pretty exponential after a while.
Yeah, because at some point you don't have to finance your acquisitions anymore. You can just do it out of cash, which
Yeah, that's what we do. It's
really
all
nice.
cash. And then
Awesome.
the inventory value continues to snowball as well, which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Excellent. And so, where you focus, where are you buying land these days?
All over the country, but I've done a lot on the East Coast. I'm in California, but I've
Yep.
done a lot on the East Coast. That's a lot of we kind of develop little pockets, little areas of states and
Sure.
that where we have great people on the ground, and then we
Yep.
try to do more and more deals in those particular areas. So I'm continuously trying to find more of those areas, more great people to work with to try to expand our footprint. Really,
Yeah.
so I'll buy
It is,
anywhere.
it is a team sport, right?
Yep.
So how did you, obviously, you're accomplished and you've done really well in this business. How did you pick real estate as the place to kind of live out your entrepreneurial dreams?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I've always had kind of that interest in real estate from when I was little because when we grew up, my parents didn't own a home, and I saw all my friends they had homes. We lived in an apartment complex,
Yep.
and it was a great upbringing, and everything was great as far as that goes. But I always was, trying to talk my parents into buying a home and real estate and everything, and they just weren't receptive to it at the
Yeah.
time. And they had other priorities and other things going on, and I understand that, but it was
Sure.
always something kind of inside of me. I was like, when I grow up, I'm going to buy lots and lots of real estate, lots of homes and everything. And that was kind of my first goal, of just to buy a
Yep.
home myself.
Yep.
And as soon as I get married, we bought our first home, just FHA loan, 3.5% down,
Perfect.
held it for a couple of years and did pretty well on it. I think we made $50,000, which at the time was a
It's
lot
a
of
lot of
money.
money, especially for a new
Yeah.
couple.
And so then we kept on, then we put that money into a bigger house, and that one needed work as well. And we fixed that one up. And then we got into flipping homes. That was early 2000s, up until the point where the market crashed out here in about 2007 ish.
Yeah.
But before that, I got my broker's license as well. And then when the market crashed, I was like, well, what's selling right now? The foreclosure property. So I started focusing on being a listing broker for the banks. So
Okay.
that was my focus for a while. Then worked with a bunch of investors that I met, large investment companies that I met through that,
Mhm.
just finding them deals. Got out of that for a while, and then out of real estate altogether for a while, developing a business with my wife about blogging and blogger training. It was kind of like an online education business. We were doing
Cool.
a lot of traveling, great, fun business. But I had this itch to get back into real estate and started doing a lot of research about different models. And
Yeah.
land flipping to me, I read some stuff about land flipping, and it kind of resonated with me because it was the dollar values weren't that high, but the returns were great. You could buy, I saw people talking about buying a property for 10,000 and selling it for 30,000. And I just thought that was pretty cool, to do a
Very.
lot of those type of deals. Like I've always kind of prided myself in the fact that I can identify value
Yep.
and find the deal. So that was kind of what got me hooked. And then I just started kind of learning everything I could about it and went all in on it. First year in 2021, March of 2021 is when we did our first land flip,
Mhm.
and then ended up that year at about 1.2 million and some change in revenue, and about 50% of that was gross profit margin. So that year we were on average about able to double our money on each deal.
Fantastic.
And then, yeah, 2022 did about 3.5 million in revenue. And we were a little shy of the 50% mark, 40 something percent in gross profit, which is still pretty good. And then 2023 looking to do 10 million plus. Oh,
Wow. Congratulations.
yeah, thanks.
Outstanding. Outstanding. And, I mean, the fact that you're turning that with cash as well, that's a heck of a return you're driving. All right. So let's get into it. So, when we look at, like, my company, when we're looking to buy off market, we do a lot of direct mail, we do digital marketing, text messaging, whatever else, cold calling. What are some of the strategies that you use to generate your deal flow?
Everything at this point is generated with direct mail. And
Okay.
I send out a lot of direct mail. I've been, for the majority of last year, I was sending out 50,000 letters a month. I've just made the decision and took the steps to step that up to 100,000 a month now.
Whoa.
So,
Okay.
and then maybe I'll double it again later this year. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so we're doing a lot of outreach, and obviously that brings a lot of deal flow in as well. So
Yeah.
and what we're doing specifically with the direct mail is it's not just like, hey, I want to buy your land. It's a very specific thing. It's a 2-page letter. First page is kind of explaining who we are, why we're contacting them, what we can do for them. Second page is a purchase agreement, just a 1-page purchase agreement. It's got the details about their property, the parcel number, the acreage, the actual price that we're offering for the property, and a spot for them to sign. So, and believe it or not, we get a lot of people that sign those and mail them back, or sign them and email them back, or call us and say, hey, I'm interested. How do we move forward with this? Or they call us and they say, well, I want to sell, but that price doesn't work for me. And then we see what we can do.
So the real estate, the marketing guy in me is thinking two things, right? One is love the fact that you've pressed the gas pedal right through the floorboards, right? That's awesome.
That's me. That's me.
Yeah, but right. But the thing is that when you look at direct mail, responses can be, I don't know, let's say 1% to 2%, right? So you're sending out 100,000 letters a month, offers really, right?
Yep.
And you are getting back, I assume, somewhere in the 500 on a tough month, 2,500 on a really good month, right? Does that sound about right?
Well, you know what the crazy thing is? I don't even track that response rate. I know I get asked that a lot, but to me, that's not really even important because there's so many in what the mail that we send up, there's so many variables that come into that. First of all,
Interesting.
The offer price, like the percentage of retail value. If we submit a really low offer, then our response rate is going to be terrible. If we submit too high of a value, then our response rate is going to be great.
Right.
Some areas are more responsive than others for one reason or another.
Yep.
And, so there's a lot of factors that go into it. But what I track, what's most important to me is the cost per deal, per deal that we buy. And that averages about $3,000 in mail costs for every deal that we do.
Okay. And so cash out 3,000 to what's your average deal size? If you don't mind me asking.
Our average profit per deal right now this year has been 23,000.
Wow,
last year was about 22,000.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, so it's a great return on investment.
So you're going to give me 3,000. I'm going to hand back 23,000. How many of those deals would you do a year? I would do as many as I could possibly do. Right?
Yeah, as many as I could do. And the thing is that what doesn't show up in those numbers is the inventory value, the value of our inventory that hasn't sold yet. But we've got obviously a lot of stuff under contract to be resold or on the market to sell. It's just unrealized kind of value yet. So the more we get into this, the more that starts to snowball as well, which is kind of cool.
Wow.
And a portfolio that I own free and clear, so.
Right. So you have a land portfolio yourself that you keep?
Yeah. Like the inventory that we have right now that's either under contract to be sold or just on the market to be sold, like listed with the broker, is about 2.5 million right now in value.
I understand now. Yeah. So it's free and clear because it's your cash. I got you. No.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. And so I'm just curious about the logistics of making the offers, right?
Sure.
You're sending out 100,000 mailers. How many people work for you that are figuring out, and it's a loaded question, that are figuring out what the value is of each one of those parcels so that you can accurately make an offer?
Yeah. That would be nearly impossible. See, there's different strategies in this business.
Sure.
I'm more of my mindset is that to get the mail out. So for me, it's not really viable to go through 100,000 properties and price them individually each month. It just doesn't. It's just not possible. I mean, you'd have to do so much research and everything like that. Sure. So what we do is we do our offer prices based off of averages for a particular county. So say we're mailing 10-acre plus in a certain county, and we'll look at what the sold comps are at, and we'll come up with an average price per acre, and then we'll back off a percentage that we need where we need to be in order to make it make sense for us. And then we'll price accordingly. Just go down the spreadsheet with a formula, and put it in that way. And then we send the spreadsheet, or we send our list to the mailing house. They do the whole mail merge and send them out for us.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes total sense. Okay, because I figured, having poor Ed Matthews toiling over a spreadsheet for 100,000.
I think some investors do that, but maybe not themselves, or maybe they have assistants do that. But that would be really tough. The thing is, when someone responds, or when they send back a signed offer or something like that, it's at that point where we really look into the property and figure out exactly what it's worth. So sometimes, unfortunately, we're too high on our offer prices. Sometimes we're right on. Sometimes we're too low, and the person wants to sell, but they want to negotiate, and we look at it and we say, okay, well, can we come up to that? Will it make sense for us? And then, so we look at it on a case by case basis.
So then I imagine, just thinking process wise, the owner of the property signs the contract first, right? And then
exactly. Yeah. We don't sign it before we send it out.
Yeah. Smart. That way you don't do deals you don't want to, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's a real basic purchase agreement. I mean, we have our due diligence period and everything like that. Right. So, once we get even something signed, I mean, there's, we have outs if we find something we don't like about the property.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. And so, and that's where feet on the ground become really important, right? Yeah. I don't imagine you're hopping on a plane for every one of these deals.
No, I've seen very few of them. I saw a few. We went on a road trip, 2021, and we did actually drive by some of the properties, and I saw, we walked the properties and stuff, but that was a rarity. It just happened to be kind of a coincidence that we were in that area.
Yeah, that's
but no, I never see any of these myself.
Right. So, obviously you're a self-starter, and you've done a lot of different things within this space. What is it about land that it draws you in? Like, I look at flipping houses as like my vice, right? I don't drink, I don't do drugs. Flipping is the my cocaine, for so to speak.
Yeah.
Right? And so I and we haven't done it for a while, and I'm actually missing it. But I'm curious what land, why land as opposed to houses, or investing in other asset classes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do invest in other asset classes more for a long-term perspective and for tax reasons. So I just like land because it's kind of about the deal. It's kind of fast. You can realize a gain really quickly.
Yep.
There's when we do value add stuff to these properties, it's not super intense like it is on a home flip. I've been through that world, and it is fun seeing a transformation on the property. I really do like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
But I don't like the other aspect of how long it takes, and managing all the moving pieces, contractors, and all these different things that go along with that. So I love the fact that we're able to turn the land quickly, and it's about the deal. I love deals, buying and selling. That's kind of fun to me.
Right.
And it just seemed to really resonate with me. And, home flips or renovations and things like that are cool too. It's just,
stressful.
I don't know. A lot more, stressful. More stress. Yeah, more.
You're. I'm sitting here looking at you over Zoom, and you are very zen, very calm. There's no beads of sweat on your forehead or anything. You just kind of doing the deals.
I'm low stress. I'm a happy guy.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I try to, keep things in perspective.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, in terms of entrepreneurship, a lot of the folks that I run into that listen to this show, it's either folks that have been doing it for a while and enjoy some of the stories that we talk with guests like you about. And then there are others, I affectionately call them the dreamers, or like, man, I wish I had time to get into real estate. And so I'm curious, in your experience, I'm sure you've come across all different personality types. What tends to be the difference between the person who's out there doing it and the person who's, just sitting on the sidelines thinking about it?
Well, I think sometimes it's just a matter of coming to that realization that they're going to need to take some action if they want their life to change.
Yep.
I think a lot of people get stuck in that mode, like, oh, I could do this and everything, but they're waiting for everything to be perfect and just line up. And it never is perfect, and it never completely lines up. At some point, you just got to make a decision like, hey, I'm going to buy this property, this $10,000 property or whatever the case may be, and I'm just going to go for it and see what happens. And if I lose it all, then I lose it all and it'll suck. But then, but at least I took the action and made something happen. But you got to take that first leap, and when you take that first leap, then the next leap is a little easier, and then the next is easier.
Right.
But you got to make that decision and just do it. And sometimes put the blinders on, just say, I'm doing it.
Yep.
And then I'll figure it out.
I totally agree. Yeah. And, we'll get into it. And, the object is to keep the water just below your nose. Right.
Yeah, that's right.
And then slowly but surely you work your way through it. Right. So, I'm curious, obviously you've been doing this for a while, and folks who join your community, look to learn from you and the other members of your community. Can you tell me a little bit about, that group that you're building and how to get involved there?
Sure. Yeah. And this is something I'm super excited about. We just launched it in the beginning of January, and we're talking here in March, but so it's kind of in its infancy, but already we've got just a vibrant community that's happening, and it's all about land flipping. Some people in there are brand new. Lots of people in there are brand new, but then we've got a lot of people that are experienced investors, netting over $1 million a year in there, that, just doing land flipping. So we've got the whole gamut. And in there, I'm going to be releasing a free training program. I don't have any courses or programs or anything like that to sell, but I've been working hard on putting together this free training program, which it's the whole business model, shows you exactly what I do from A to Z and how you can duplicate and do it yourself. But kind of the reason for doing that is I know that it'll bring more back to me in return than I'm putting out. I know that there'll be opportunities to partner with deals on people. Sure. And all these types of things will come from it. So that's kind of the reason that I'm doing it. And so I'm just super excited about it. And every day there's just lots of different discussions, and we just started doing weekly Zoom calls as well, where
awesome.
Break down deals for people like live on the screen. I'll show you how I evaluate deals and what I look for when I'm trying to determine if I want to buy something or not.
Wow, that's incredibly generous. I suspect, I firmly believe that service is the highest form of contribution, right? And karma's real, right? You do get it back. I mean, it's why we do this podcast is, we don't make money on this. There's no advertisers. And the three people that are listening, not named my mom or dad, are the way that I was very fortunate in my life, where I've had, half a dozen or so people that took a liking to me or felt sorry for me or something. And threw an arm around me and said, okay, kid, here's how you really need, this is what you're doing and how you're screwing it up. And this is how you really should be doing it. Right. And you can't pay a mentor like that back. Right. So the way you pay that human being back is by doing exactly what you're doing, which is, you serve the community. It's why this podcast exists, and it's really generous, man. So congratulations on that. And
thanks.
I'm looking forward to joining it.
Yeah, well, it's just one of those things. It's really cool, and already just lots of cool connections and things have come of it, and it's just at the very beginning. So I just can't wait to see where it goes.
Yeah, it sounds like a heck of a ride. Enjoy.
Yeah, it really is.
So getting into the mentors piece, I'm curious about some of the people that guided you along the way. I mean, obviously you've done a lot of things really well. Nobody does everything well without help, right? So I'm curious, what was some of the best advice you ever got, and frankly, who gave it to you?
Yeah, I haven't actually worked with a mentor, say like one-on-one people to help me out, but I do a lot of research and a lot of reading and listening to audiobooks and watching videos and things like that. So a lot of those people that have put content out there and things like that have been those kind of mentors for me.
Sure.
Whether they know it or not.
Some mentors you hire, but that's okay.
Yeah. With the land flipping stuff, I did buy a training program from another group, and I did learn a lot from that, and that kind of got things kicked off. And I learned how to evaluate land from them, and
Mhm.
then I took what I learned there and kind of put my own little spin on it, I guess.
Yeah, and clearly that's working. So, I tell everybody, I firmly believe that leaders are readers, right? And these days, reading isn't necessarily a book, right? An actual tactile, real 200-page
Right.
book. It can be an audio book, it can be a podcast, it can be a YouTube video, whatever, right? And so I'm curious, who are you paying attention to these days, and what are some of the ways that you consume that knowledge?
Yeah, mostly audiobooks when I'm actually consuming that type of information.
Yeah.
I do listen to or do watch a lot of videos and podcasts and things like that on YouTube as well. And I
Mhm.
kind of get going down different rabbit holes on things that interest me. Like lately, I've been very interested in the marketing and business side of things. I've got a marketing degree myself, but what I learned in school is not
Yeah.
not anything to do with the real world today, or even back then, really, when I think about it. But
Yeah.
uh,
Theory
but
and practice, right?
yeah, it's craziness. But so I just think that there's a lot of specialized knowledge out there, and you just have to
True.
kind of look for whatever you're interested in, and you'll go down all these different paths, and before too long, you'll be kind of a more of a well-rounded person. But
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. So, I'm curious, in terms of YouTube and some of the audiobooks, who specifically are you paying attention to? Like,
mm, yeah, recently I've been watching all these videos by, again, you may have heard of Alex Hermosi. He's got some
sure,
really good content
100
out
million
there. So
offers.
I went down that rabbit hole, really deep on some of the business stuff and kind of the
Yeah.
bigger picture business thoughts. Some
Right.
things that I never really thought about before. So helped me to look at things through a different lens, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, what he's done to build his, I think the book I just finished of his, $100 million in offers,
Oh, yeah, so good. Yeah, the
it
book
was
is really
outstanding.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I haven't read his other one, but that one is just brilliant. And
yeah,
the community he's building is impressive as well.
yeah.
Um, from a digital marketing perspective, I paid close attention to the guy that runs ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson.
Oh, yeah, yeah. He's
You
very,
know,
very smart.
really smart, and another guy who will tell you that he didn't do very well in school, and he failed his marketing
Yeah.
class in college. Right? Turns out he's pretty good at it.
Funny, huh?
Well, yeah. Again, it's theory versus practice, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and practice is what makes money, not the theory in the books.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, cool. So I'm curious, in terms of, when you're spending time away from the land acquisition and flipping business, what else do you like to do?
Well, lately there hasn't been much time away from the business, but
Yeah,
I love to
that's his
travel.
life, right?
So
Yeah,
yeah, we went through a period for about 5 years when I was working on the blogger training business with my wife and everything associated with that. She's also a travel blogger, so we for a period of about 5 years straight, we were traveling about 150 days out of the year with a family of five, like all of us, like
wow.
all over the world. So that was a great time, and we loved all our travels. And uh, since COVID hit, we haven't really been traveling as much or
Yeah,
anything, but we want to get back into it somewhat. Just maybe shorter trips at a time, maybe a week here and there. So I love traveling when we can fit it in this schedule, but I'm trying to get some things situated before we do some more of that.
I
I
hear you.
love working out. My wife and I, we always go for a walk every day. That's kind of our break. 3 to 5 miles, normally closer to 5. And it's kind of our business meeting as well. So
Sure.
I like doing that. That's kind of fun stuff. And obviously spending time with my family. And I've got 3 girls, 22, 20, and 13. Yeah.
Right
So,
there with you. I have a 20-year-old and a 15-year-old, so daughters.
oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so
Very
I hear
cool.
you. Fun
Yep.
times.
Yep. Between all that, there isn't much time for anything else. No hobbies or anything aside from that.
Yeah, somebody asked me. The person was they had chosen not to have children, and he's like, "What do you do for hobbies?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? I have kids. That's it. It's swim meets, it's dancing, it's softball, it's soccer, it's art shows, it's parent teacher conferences. That's my life, right?
There's no time for anything else. So really, I
No,
mean,
it
the
really isn't.
schedule's packed.
Yeah, and it's fun. So why wouldn't it
Yep,
be? Right?
that's right.
So Pete, hey, thank you so much for your time today. If people want to get in touch with you or learn more about your community, what's the best way to get in touch?
Best place is to go to turningprofit.com. Now, Turning Profit is the name of our podcast that we've got as well. It's all about real estate investing with a real heavy focus on land flipping, because that's what we do. And that's with my co-host, who is my wife, Heather. So we have a really fun time with that. We just launched that in January as well. So we're
congratulations.
Really, yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're loving it. But on turningprofit.com, I also do a monthly income report on there, which is a real deep dive into our land land flipping business every single month. Now, that's the revenue we took in, the profit we made that month, every single deal we did that month, like what we bought it for, what we sold it for, profit on that deal, how many days we held it for, notes about that individual deal. So we go really deep into all those different aspects of the business. And the idea behind it is to, give you some transparency into what these land flipping deals are like, what it's actually like running a land flipping business, and maybe what's possible. Because I know, I'm kind of aggressive and I like to scale things up quickly. So I think other people can look at that, maybe take a little inspiration, think, well, I could do that too.
Right.
This guy's not that smart. I'm smarter than him. So those types of things. But I'm serious. I think that there's a lot of people that will look at that and think, well, I can do that too. Why not?
Sure.
So it's not rocket science. It's not. So.
No, it's math.
Yep, that's right.
It's just
right.
math.
I mean, the thing is, you got to learn how to evaluate properties, and once you really understand what's a good property, what's a bad property, and what it's worth, sky's the limit. Even if you don't have the cash to buy these deals, it's kind of an interesting community because the money's there. It's land, so there isn't really a developed hard money type thing like in the home flipping market, but right. You can partner on deals. You can if you have a deal, there's plenty of people that will partner with you on that. And basically what that means is they will put up all the money, and then you take care of the marketing and everything. And then when it sells, you split the profits 50-50. So it's a win-win.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good deal.
Yep.
I'll take 50% of a deal any day. Yeah,
seriously.
Yeah. Right. So Pete, thank you so much for your time today. It was really good to finally catch up and meet you live. And as soon as we wrap up this meeting, I'm going to be on your website, Turning Profit, to join your community, because I'm absolutely fascinated by this part of the business. And like I said, I've got 2 parcels that are under contract, and one of them I'm not really sure what to do with. So maybe this is something that I can.
Time to come up with that exit plan, right?
Yeah, there you go. So Pete Reese, thank you so much, and continued good fortune, my friend. And we'll look forward to keeping tabs on you on your website.
Thank you so much, Ed. I really appreciate it today. So
my pleasure. Thanks. This has been the Real Estate Underground Podcast, a Clark Street Capital presentation. Thanks for joining us. If you're enjoying the show, please remember to subscribe and share it with your friends. If you'd like to learn more about Clark Street Capital and our upcoming projects, please join our investor club at clarkst.com/join. Until next time, happy investing.